Game begin.
Hello, my name is Jupiter Hadley, and I'm a community manager. I originally started in games journalism, and then pivoted to community management, and it's something that I've been doing for well over a year now, actually, for a Roblox-based studio. And we'll get into everything that entails. Loads of different games and game studios are finding the value in creating communities around their games or around individual games. So it's something that developers have been spending more time doing. Community managers often wear more hats than just one. So I'm going to be talking about what I do as a community manager, how we grow our community, a little bit about Roblox and having a younger audience, and about dealing with toxic individuals who will always crop up no matter what type of community you're trying to build. So, as I said, I am a community manager for Toya Play. We're a Roblox based company that works on a bunch of different Roblox games, including games with IPs. And we'll talk a bit more about what that means. But I originally got my start in video games through YouTube, where I played lots and lots and lots of games a year. And I grew a small community through that and then became a writer in games journalism for a bunch of different websites that I still write for, including Big Boss Battle and Indie Game Plus. And I created indiegamejams.com, which is a website that lists all of the game jams and events happening in the world that I'm quite proud of, and it has a community of its own. So a lot of people ask what a community manager does, because they do wear a bunch of different hats. When it comes to my day-to-day job, we are a Roblox-based games company, but I spend a lot of time not on Roblox, funnily enough. I have a Discord that we monitor with a couple of mods, but it's primarily me calling most of the shots, and that's a Discord full of engaged community members. There are various social media platforms that we take care of. We've got Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. We found that Facebook isn't where our community lives or hangs out or plays, so that's not a social media platform that we look at. And then I also watch our Roblox group, which is like a group on the Roblox platform where our community can look at updates on all of our games and check out just generally what we're up to. It's kind of like a sort of website, but within the Roblox realm. I also do social media planning for all of those, which is like creating calendars of what we want to talk about. So when you are doing social media management and it becomes sort of a PR role, you do end up doing lots of planning and scheduling for social media because that's how you engage with your community. Often when you work for smaller companies, they're not going to have a head of Twitter and a head of Instagram and a different person doing these different outlets. It's going to be you. And that's where your community interacts and engages with you. So it's important that you're aware of what platforms work best for them and what they do. You tend to deal with bug requests and bug tickets because you are talking to your community members. So they will tell you when they have bugs, even if there are official forms to fill out or an email, you're the one that will be told about them. And the same breath, you will also be given lots of community feedback that you then need to compile and give to the dev team and sort of take in and understand. So you'll need some sort of knowledge on what the game can do and what the game can't do. Sometimes I jump in and do QA. This is mainly for bigger quality of life updates on our games because we have live products, which means they're being updated on a weekly basis across Roblox. And so I'll jump into QA sessions and provide a community angle. And I also run QA sessions that are with our community specifically to get their sort of point of view. And then I compile lists and give that to our team to work with. You'll put forward the ideas of the community members to your team and see what they do with them, and probably build lots and lots of Word documents. So many of our plans are just literally Word documents that I've made and then sent out. So there's a lot that goes into managing a community. It's not so much just hopping on Discord and playing Jackbox with everyone. There's lots that go on sort of behind the scenes. So our community specifically is a bit different. We are female first. All of our games have strong female lead characters, and our goal is to make a safe space in games for young women. So we looked at where children, young women, hang out, and those are the platforms we decided to have our communities on. And then we worked towards making a safe space on those platforms. We do use Roblox, TikTok, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. Places like Roblox are already set up to be a safe space for communities. Roblox has tons of stuff internally that doesn't allow inappropriate conduct, it doesn't allow people to ask evasive questions, it doesn't allow any of that. Whereas platforms like TikTok, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter, you don't have that level of sort of protection from what's going on. So we spend a lot of time trying to tailor our community and where we hang out with our community to make those spaces more safe. As mentioned, we work with IPs. So that's another interesting thing. When I first started at the company, I did not work with IPs. We were creating our own original games, and we were building a community up with that. Then further along the line, we got the Miraculous Ladybug IP, and we made the official Miraculous Ladybug game. So that completely pivoted what our community was. It's a massive TV show, if you don't know, on Disney, with a huge following of young people. And we basically have boosted our community growth through that and have a large community now who just care about this one game that we make. And we've been working on integrating them into our other games and otherwise benefiting as a company from this big growth. So, when it comes to growth, there are two ways that communities tend to grow. Most of the time, it's a very, very slow process. When you have a new game or a new company, there's not really a community. You're the person in charge of what is essentially what you're growing. There's not a lot there to start with or to work with. And this can be super discouraging, especially in the early stages of community management. But what you need to do is start consistently posting. We create calendars with post schedules. And at first, when we had a smaller community, we posted less. Posted about 3 times a week, definitely on Saturdays, and we did a lot of checking out what the best time to post on different platforms are. It tends to be around 5 p.m. London time, because that's when all of America is awake and doing something, and all of Europe is awake and doing something, or the majority. So knowing when the best time to post is, knowing what hashtags to post, and kind of getting people aware of your game is kind of the early stages of community management at the company I work with. We then started creating events. So events, again, are tricky. It's something that when you're building up a community slowly, not a lot of people are going to be coming to these events. So you need to prepare events that do not require loads of entries and do not look bad because there aren't lots of entries. And this is something we did experiment about with. So we started doing live streams where I would just play the game, maybe with a friend of mine or with one of the other developers on the game, and we would just play our games for an hour on Saturday and tag it with the platform and see if anyone would come along and watch. And at first, we didn't get very many viewers, obviously, because it's slowly building up. But we talked about that we were doing that on social media, and we continued to grab clips and post them around, and we grew a small audience that would watch that. We then started doing playtests. So we thought it would be really cool to have the community, since we have a live product, give feedback and tell us what to do with our game. So what we were doing, and still do, is creating Discord groups, and in Discord running hour-long playtesting sessions once a month where whoever shows up gets to see our next update and give feedback before it goes live. And sometimes these were just brainstorming sessions that were like, we're thinking of adding this concept, here's some rough sketches. Do you think this is a good idea? What do you think should be added to it? And though not a lot of people showed up in that, the people that did show up felt like they were helping develop the game. They were very quickly empowered and felt like this was also their game. And they became sort of super fans of these games that they were helping create along with this studio on this platform. A lot of times their suggestions were stuff that we were already putting into the game. So when it was added, they were like, oh, my idea's in the game. And it created 2 or 3 super fans that talked nonstop about our game. Soon we got an IP, which boosted everything. We ended up with a very overwhelming, large growth that kind of all consumed everything the moment it was announced. And this is quite rare, but it can happen. You can just overnight get a massive audience. It's what we saw with Among Us, it's what we saw with our game. And then there's a lot more to deal with. When you have a huge amount of people suddenly joining your community from wherever they are, there's more eyes on what you're doing. You start seeing fan accounts pop up. You start seeing people make accounts saying they're your company or you individually. I've gotten messages on our company Twitter stating to be myself and wanting me to give me stuff in the game because I apparently lost it. Especially when you're dealing with kids games, this just sort of happens. And it's something that you have to be aware of and know how to sort of deal with. You have to know how to manage a bunch of messages and understand you can't reply to everything. You have to start deciding if you want to post more, if you want to run more events, if you want to limit the number of people that can come to events, putting on different time zone events, and especially moving towards the point when you have different heads of different social media platforms so that you can then divide out that work. Because when a community grows, they're sort of ever demanding, especially when it's a kids-based community. And all of our games are kids-based. And kids, they don't have a concept of time. They don't think, oh, you might be asleep, or, oh, you've got like other stuff that you have to do. You have to do the dishes, you have to clean. Kids are concerned about getting stuff quickly. And that's something that I never realized I did as a kid, but thinking back, I definitely did in the communities I was a part of. A lot of times we will have like announcements that reveal something coming soon. We update the same time every Wednesday. However, I will get so many questions going, why isn't it in now? Why isn't it in today? It's like, we don't update today. But that's something you just have to be patient with. And being a community manager takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of you saying the same sentences over and over again and explaining the same things over and over again while dealing with children who just don't have a concept of time. Um, Another big surprise when it came to community management with kids was the amount of Discord calls I get. In the middle of the night, my phone will start ringing and it'll be Discord calls from children who just want to know what's happening soon or what I'm up to or whatever. They just want to know why I'm not online. And that's wild, having these sort of like engaging interactions, which is great that our community has grown that much. But you have to have barriers and boundaries. You have to start making sure that you're not there to answer everything all of the time and defining your hours while keeping a community engaged and interested. So that was a big barrier for us to sort of figure out through defining what hours our members were actively able to interact with us and what hours they weren't, and how we would interact during those time periods. But one of the major things we ended up doing was building up a safe space. So again, this was something that was done with the thoughts in mind of building a safe space for young women. That was our target. We wanted to have a community where women, young girls could go and we knew they were safe. Through doing that, we created a very clear list of rules that is ever changing. We add new rules when they need to come up. And we have a couple of catch-all rules, things like be respectful, that we use it very liberally. So my general rule when creating a safe space for kids, it's a big responsibility, is to ban first. If anyone's being slightly inappropriate, ban them. Just ban them. You don't need to sit there and justify in chat in front of everyone why this person needs to be banned. If someone's making someone else uncomfortable, ban them. And then they can take it to DMs and have an unbanning process where they can then one-on-one with you can explain what they've done wrong, why they're banned, what steps they need to do in the future, why this is a wrong thing to do. And having that clear rule and not being afraid to ban people is something that has created a very happy and good community. Another thing that, especially on Discord, because a lot of people build their communities in Discord that help out, are having bots. We have so many bots. We have bots that'll do everything. We've got bots that scan stuff. We've got bots that check to make sure your Roblox account is linked to you. We've got bots that will more or less get rid of any links. We use bots all of the time, and we use it to do a lot of our Discord modding. And then we also have human people mods who are all adults within our community, who then also take care of things that bots wouldn't scan, like people arguing or people being rude to each other. Often you'll need to listen to your community. Sometimes your community might feel unsafe. Members in your community might feel like someone else is unfairly picking on them or asking questions that are a bit too personal. And you should be someone, or someone in your company who's a community manager of that platform should be able to be there and say, hello, I'm approachable, I'm here for you, what's going on? And that person needs to look at the situation and decide what to do with it. And having someone who is approachable is a key part in having a safe space, because if inappropriate things are happening, if there's no one that anyone feels comfortable talking to, you're not going to know about it, because it might happen in DMs. It might happen through scam links. It might happen sort of off platform, but to do with your community. We had some people come in and start a Discord, like siphoning people from our Discord and putting them in there, and then just having big arguments, having inappropriate communications, and it was a big deal, which resulted in us banning allowing people to say, come join my Discord. We banned allowing people to have come join our Discord in their bio on Discord, because that became unmanageable and people in our community were upset and they didn't feel comfortable, and we're ultimately meant to be a safe space. Some of our other big issues have been around trolls and raids. So trolls and raids have been sort of the biggest thing we've had to deal with, and it became quite a serious problem. When you are creating a safe space for young girls, people are upset. I don't know why people are upset, they just are. And people think that it's a good way to get in and just be terrible. And I don't know why humans are like this, but especially on the internet, it's just a thing that happens. So we started having Discord raids. And what that is essentially a bunch of people would join our Discord. Most of the time when I was at the worst moment for them to start joining our Discord and messing with me, because that's the way it always is. And they would post porn. It was just straight up porn. So they were posting porn into this Discord that we're all young kids. Like, that's who they are. And obviously shouldn't be seeing that sort of content. Now, Discord obviously doesn't allow you to post porn in Discord, but they don't have anything to block it. So we had to manually report these accounts, but by the time you manually report an account that's posted porn, everyone's seen it. That obviously does not create a safe space. We tried bots that didn't allow pictures, so then people would put URLs in that would have a preview image that was porn. So then we didn't allow URLs anymore. So then people would put their profile pictures to be GIFs that were, again, just inappropriate. And at this point, we started contacting Discord directly because it's too much, isn't it? When you're trying to create a safe space, if there isn't tools there to help you, it can sometimes become a huge issue and almost all impossible. Discord couldn't really do much about it. They said that we should just keep banning people. So we ended up reaching out and getting someone to build a bot that then scans all of the profile pictures of people that enter, and if they have anything slightly inappropriate, puts them in a jail cell where they can't, like a channel, where they can't post or do anything, so that these couldn't be seen by our members. And this was the only way we could get around this. We had to go out and get someone to create a custom bot. There are issues in that in its own, but when you have a community that you're trying to there are issues that we needed to create that in itself, but when you're trying to create a safe space in games, and when you're trying to create a community that trusts you and that can thrive, sometimes you do have to go out and find other solutions when the technology isn't there yet. And spending time thinking about these problems and researching and making sure that you can, in the end, have a safe space was one of our main goals. I do appreciate not everyone will have to do that, but you do need to consider the platforms you're on and the worst behavior possible there. Scammers is a big thing in Roblox. Lots of people post links that are just two scams. We spend a lot of time just announcing that these links aren't true, and that's helped our community grow. When you're being a community manager, you do need to have a tough skin and lots of patience. Kids are just kids, and no matter what community you're managing, there's going to be kids. Even if they're teenagers, there are teenagers that act like kids. Kids say stuff. They'll insult you for no reason. They'll call you names and make weird edits of your profile picture. They're just kids. And that's something you have to be aware of and deal with. And on the same side, so many kids will love what you do and have such an admiration for what you do, especially if you're the public face of an entire games company or of a popular game. And they'll just want to be around you. And you have to have the patience for that and the ability to let things slide if people are being horrible to you, the ability to sort of let go and ignore. And that's something that I find some community managers struggle with more than others, is just the amount of like hate that you get as being the public face, and the amount of like personal attacks that happen despite it being a game that you work for, even in places that are a safe space. So knowing that you are dealing with kids do act like this.
Ja. Okay, gerade haben wir leider Soundprobleme. Der Sound von Jupiter kommt leider zu uns nicht durch. Und ich glaube, sie hat es auch gerade in dieser Sekunde gemerkt. Ich weiß jetzt nicht, ob es... Ja, Jupiter, do you hear us?
Yeah, do you hear me?
Ah, yeah, now. So the last 2 minutes are gone.
Oh no. I don't know the last thing that I said though.
It was the second last slide you have.
Yes. I was just talking about communities and probably about tough skin.
Yeah.
Kids are just being kids.
I think
they will...
we start at tough skins. Okay.
Yeah. So you have to keep in mind that kids are just being kids, and they will try to test you, and they will not understand much about what's going on, and they'll pick on you for no reason and make weird edits of your pictures. And that's just a part of the job. That's a part of being the front face of a game and being the face of a community. And you need to deal with those appropriately to ensure that your space is safe and that your community is of the people who are going to respect you and enjoy your game and enjoy your product and leave positive interactions and make everything a nicer place. When you do grow a community and it is a positive community and everyone's interested in your games and what you're doing, you will see an uptick in the amount of people that play your game and the amount of people that check out your newest update or use the newest code or ask for codes so that they can get more stuff in your game. You'll see an uptick in in-app purchases and plays in your next game down the line. So growing a community is something so worth doing. It's just something that does take time and effort and can be super draining on community managers. But as long as you're able to shut off and report really important things to other members of your team and deal with them appropriately, it's something well worth building up, even if you have to start from scratch, because the payoff in the end is a lot, and it long tails in all of your games, not just the one you're working on. And yeah. That's me. This is my cat Pancake, and you can contact me on Twitter.
Oh.
Yeah.
She or he is sweet.
Yeah, he's a great little boy. I love him.
Aww. Okay, so we have one question from the Twitch chat. Ivy Vilkas has one question. I have a question. Here we are, adults, so I assume we understand the importance of creating a safe space for the community. But how is that message spread to the kids? Are them educated, maybe from the community itself, in order to be aware of toxic behaviors?
So that's a very good question. We have a big list of rules, and these rules do explain why the rules are there. And they do explain, like, that being racist isn't great because that isn't nice to some people. It makes them feel bad. It's not a great, it's not a great way to be as a person. So obviously it's not allowed here in this space where all these people are. And we do take the time when people get banned to explain to them why they're banned. And if other people ask, explain to other people why they were banned. If people around in that channel don't feel like it was fair, we do explain, no, it was disrespectful because it was wrong because. I do feel like when you're building a safe space in a community, you do have to do a bit of education. I had a person appeal from a ban recently who said, I didn't know what being racist was. I just thought that I was just being mean to them because this was so different and that was it. But yeah, I understand that that is racism and that is really mean and I shouldn't act like that. And they ended up making a big apology as well to that person, and that person accepted the apology and they came back into the server and have been fine since. So when you are dealing with kids, there is a level of education and that just comes with the job, really.
Yeah, and I have a personal question. What's the best aspect of this job and what are the most motivating things to get it every day?
I think the best aspect of this job is seeing the community grow and love what you make. There's so many people who every time we do an update, and it'll be a small thing, we'll change the color of something, and they'll be like, this is amazing, best update ever. You did such a great job. You worked so hard. You're like, thank you. I did nothing to this update, but I will take this all. And you feel great about it. It's really rewarding seeing people just like the thing that you are constantly working on. And every day someone from our community will say something they like. And that's really, really lovely.
Yeah, Roblox is a game that are many years on the market. How long does it exactly on the market? Is it on the market exactly?
I have no idea. Our studio has been making Roblox games for 3 years. Before that, they made Minecraft maps, and I wasn't around for that, but that sounds really fun. Roblox is a platform that seems to have been around since I was a child, and you can create your own games on that platform. So all of our games are fairly new. They're made within the last 2 years. And there are constantly more games being added. Roblox itself was just floated on the stock market earlier this year, so it seems to be ever growing at the moment.
Yeah. So it's such a pleasure to meet a person like you because I think, yeah, the trolls, the haters, the community in the internet is very strange sometimes. And I think it's so important to have persons like you to manage this internet stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know why people are spamming porns on a child server. I don't want to know it, but I don't get it.
Yeah,
Think,
it's not something I've ever understood either. It's just something I've had to deal with.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we have another question from the Twitch chat. What is meant by banning a complete stop of access to the game, or are we only speaking of Discord bans or mute in the game?
Right, so that's a very good question, actually. I probably should have made that clear. Most of our bans will be from Discord or from places where you can interact with the community. So it'll be from that sort of space because Roblox does a really great job of not allowing you to do anything inside games that are inappropriate. So users can't harass anyone in Roblox. Their text will be completely deleted and will just show up as hashes. They can't ask people where they live or anything in the game. We have had select times when we've had to go through and ban someone from our games because they continued to almost like harass someone by joining the game and then just following them while sending them messages on other platforms whenever they joined. And we have gone through and completely removed them from access to our games, but that's such a rare thing because there is that level of competency from Roblox. However, if Roblox didn't have those things already in place and we weren't going to put in loads of chat filters and whatnot, it probably would be a ban from across our platform because it's an online multiplayer game to ensure that they cannot continue to harass or abuse members.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, Jupiter. Glad to have you here and have a nice day. And I hope you will have also a nice week.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you so much for having me.